If the favorite football team of a judge loses or plays bad on the weekend, then you get 5 years more in prison than you would otherwise. So, for example, in Hungary, if you commit a robbery now, and you would get 15 years in prison, then now you just get 10, because the Hungarian national team plays very cool and very good in the European Championship of 2021. Against, for example, the French. We were very good, and now we just need to beat the Germans to go ahead from the group, and I'm certain that we can do it. If we would be in any other group, we would go ahead, but hope dies less. Anyway, so judges should be fair, because they are judges, that's their name, they judge fairly. And yeah, I mean, of course they are judges, they are very professional. Something like this wouldn't happen, right? If the Hungarian team loses very badly, then you shouldn't get 5 years more in prison, should you? But that might be how it actually works. In the 1970s, a judge called Marvin E. Frankel brought attention to the issue that a sentence is more dependent on the personality and the mood and the preconceptions of a judge than the actual crime was committed. So, meaning he brought many examples, anecdotal examples at the time, so concrete examples of things that happened, and one of them was that two person who cashed in counterfeited checks of like $40 in value. One of them got 15 years in prison, while the other one got 30 days in prison. So that's like a pretty big deal in a human's life, I would say. And he brought many of those examples, and was very much outraged because judges should be fair, and humans shouldn't spend 15 years more in prison with the same history of crime, of no crime in this case, and the same crime should be around the same time in prison or same punishment, right? Well, yeah, but if the favorite football team of the judge loses, then maybe not. Maybe then you get 15 years in prison. Frankel described the power of the judges as godly, because they basically decide human fates hugely on opinion, meaning what are moral values, what do I think, what's my mood, did I already eat my lunch or not. That's also a thing that is statistically provable, that it affects how judges judge a case, and that makes difference at the same judge, meaning the same judge could judge the same case on different days with different sentences, you know? But the biggest difference is between judges, meaning one judge is like a really kind one and doesn't want to give that much prison, and the other one is very strict, very angry maybe, and that gives you 15 years prison. And so that's basically the roulette that you are playing in if you commit a crime, because you know, if you get a kind judge, then you might not go to prison. If you get a strict and you know, judge, then you might get 10 years in prison and your life is ruined. Like, I mean, sure, don't commit crimes, but still, that shouldn't be the case. Like, it was statistically tested. The case was given to 50 different judges, and they had to decide the punishment based on given details, and the same case was hugely different, from getting like 5 years in prison to 25 years in prison. So it's not like, you know, 6 months or a year, it's 10, 20 years difference between judges. Frankel pushed Congress to pass a legislation that actually passes guidelines to judges that judges must use. So basically checklists, like, okay, what's the criminal history of this person, what did he do, and then here is what he can get, which is not from 0 to 25 years, but a more limited time. So judges got in 1980s got this legislation which made them a little bit less godly. But this legislation, of course, had a lot of pushback from judges, and in 2005 this legislation was removed, and so they got back their godly powers, and now they rule over the whole world. And of course judges should consider like personal stuff, like does this person do good to society if he goes back, or she should be more in prison or not, based on personal stuff. Sure, machines or computers shouldn't decide who goes to prison and how many years he gets. And there are these TV judges, and we watch them as like, oh, this is so sweet, like there is this old man who came to this judge who was speeding with his car, and he doesn't get any punishment. And then there's the other one who is like an angry man, and that gets like a huge fine and stuff like that. And we look at it and we say, oh, this is cute, but on the other hand, is it like, shouldn't it be more objective? Shouldn't judges have more strict guidelines that they can decide on? I have no clue. I'm not a judge. I mean, sure, judges are professional, and I have no reason or no ground to decide this. And I actually read about this in a book called Noise, which is an interesting book about how there is a lot of noise in human decision. And it was very interesting to read about this, because I never thought of it this way. This is not fair judgment, this is actually madness. This is unimaginable madness. And of course, noise, as this book describes, exists not only with judges, but with doctors and with basically everywhere where human decision exists. And that's why it's a very interesting topic and a very interesting book. Although I'm not done with it yet, so I cannot judge the book yet, but it's interesting, definitely. And I'm not saying that this is because judges are evil. It is because judges are different in personality, different in every way. It's not because they want to be unfair, it's just because they are people, and people decide differently based on their different values, and that's how it is, and that's how it maybe shouldn't be with judges, at least, because that's just madness. That's just total madness, if that's still how it is. And as well, not just with crimes, but for example with asylum seekers. There's one judge that lets 95% of the people in to the country with asylum request, and there's this other judge who just lets 5% in based on what I think, not on guidelines or stuff, just I think this or I think that, and that should not be the case. I mean, I would say definitely should not be the case, and but that's how it is. So yeah, very interesting book actually to read, I think.